I sat at the kitchen table, staring at the swirling steam rising from my untouched cup of tea. The house was eerily quiet, the kind of silence that seeps into your bones and makes you feel like a stranger in your own home. It used to be filled with warmth, laughter, at least I thought it was. But now that the truth had unraveled, the illusion had crumbled into dust. My husband had been cheating on me for 5 years. 5 whole years. I had built a life with him, trusted him, shared my dreams, my fears, my body. And he had spent half a decade lying straight to my face. The betrayal was a slow poison, sinking into every memory, tainting every moment I once cherished. Now I was in the process of divorcing him. Papers were signed, lawyers were negotiating, and soon I would officially be free. But what did freedom even mean when it came at the cost of a broken heart? A quiet knock at the kitchen doorway pulled me from my thoughts. I looked up to see Jordan standing there, his dark eyes filled with something that looked an awful lot like worry. "Mom, you okay?" His voice was softer than usual, cautious, like he wasn't sure if I was fragile enough to break. It made my heart ache. Jordan had always been mature for his age. At 17, he carried himself with an air of quiet strength, something I admired but also worried about. He had been through enough already before I adopted him at the age of 9, and I never wanted him to feel like he had to bear the weight of the world. But here he was, standing in the kitchen, looking at me like he was the parent, and I was the lost child. I forced a smile. "Yeah, sweetheart. Just thinking."
He didn't buy it.
He never did. Instead of calling me out on my lie, he walked over and pulled out the chair beside me. "You barely ate today." I sighed. "I'm not really hungry." "You say that every day." His tone was gentle, but there was a firm edge beneath it. "You're allowed to be sad, Mom, but you still have to take care of yourself." I looked at him, at the sincerity in his expression, and something inside me cracked. Jordan had been my anchor through all of this. When I found out about the affair, it was him who held me as I sobbed into his shoulder. When I spent days in bed, paralyzed by the weight of it all, he was the one who made sure I ate, who checked in on me, who reminded me that I wasn't alone. "I'm trying," I admitted, my voice barely above a whisper. He reached for my hand, squeezing it lightly. "I know," and somehow, that simple touch grounded me in a way I didn't expect. The days blurred together as the reality of my divorce settled into place. I was still adjusting to the silence of the house, to the absence of my husband's presence, to the strange mix of relief and sorrow that accompanied every step forward. But through it all, Jordan was my rock. He made sure I ate when I had no appetite. He filled the house with conversation, distracting me from my own thoughts. He handled the small things, taking out the trash, running errands, even making me tea in the evenings when he saw me staring off into space, lost in my head. He was 17, but in so many ways, he was more of a man than my soon-to-be ex-husband had ever been. And in a week, he would turn 18. I wanted to do something special for him. Something that showed him how much I appreciated everything he had done for me, not just recently, but always. So, one afternoon, as we sat in the living room, I asked him, "Jordan, what do you want for your birthday?" At first, he shook his head. "You don't have to get me anything, Mom." "Of course I do," I said, smiling. "You've done so much for me. I want to thank you." He hesitated, his fingers tapping against the couch. And then, almost shyly, he said, "I've never spent the night in a hotel before." I blinked. That wasn't the answer I expected. "A hotel?" He nodded. "I don't know, it just seems cool. A big, fancy room. Room service. A huge bed all to myself." He chuckled. "Just something I've always wanted to try." Something about the way he said it made my heart ache. Jordan had never been the type to ask for much. He had spent most of his life before I adopted him being let down, and sometimes I thought he had trained himself not to want things, because wanting meant risking disappointment. But this was something simple. Something easy. Something I could give him. "Then we'll do it," I said without hesitation. His eyes lit up. "Really? Really?" I smiled. "And not just any hotel. I'll book us a suite somewhere nice. A birthday getaway, just the two of us." For the first time in a long while, I saw pure, unguarded excitement on his face. "That sounds amazing," he admitted. And just like that, it was decided. The week passed quickly, and on the morning of Jordan's birthday, I packed an overnight bag and surprised him with the details. "A suite?" he repeated when I told him. "Of course," I said, handing him the small suitcase I had packed for him. "You deserve the best." The drive to the hotel was filled with easy conversation and laughter. It was strange how light I felt. How, for the first time in months, I wasn't weighed down by grief or anger. Maybe it was because Jordan was with me. The hotel was everything I wanted it to be for him: elegant, luxurious, the kind of place that felt like an escape from reality. When we stepped into the suite, Jordan let out a low whistle. "Wow," he said, taking it all in. "This is a lot." I laughed. "You said you wanted the hotel experience. That includes the best room they have." The suite was spacious, with floor-to-ceiling windows that overlooked the city skyline. A massive bed sat in the center of the room, draped in plush white linens. There was a sitting area, a private balcony, and a marble bathroom with a deep soaking tub. Jordan walked around, taking it all in, his hands trailing over the expensive furniture. "This is insane," he muttered. Then, grinning, he flopped onto the bed, stretching out with a satisfied sigh. "Comfortable?" I teased. "Very," he said. Then he looked at me, his expression softening. "Thank you, Mom." Something about the way he said it made warmth spread through my chest. "You're welcome," I said quietly. The night passed in a blur of simple, perfect moments. We ordered room service, steak for him, pasta for me, along with a chocolate cake that the hotel brought up with a candle in the center. Jordan laughed as I made him blow it out, rolling his eyes at the tradition but indulging me anyway. After dinner, we sat on the balcony, the city glowing beneath us. I sipped wine while he drank soda, both of us wrapped in the comfortable quiet that only comes with people who truly understand each other. "This is the best birthday I've ever had," he admitted after a long pause. I turned to look at him, my heart swelling. "I'm glad." He hesitated for a moment before adding, "Not just because of the hotel. Because of you." Something in his voice made my breath catch. I reached for his hand, squeezing it lightly. "You're the best thing that ever happened to me, Jordan." His grip tightened around mine, and for a moment, we just sat there, the city lights flickering like stars around us. Neither of us needed to say anything else. We both already knew. The night air was crisp, the city lights twinkling like distant stars against the vast skyline. Jordan and I sat side by side on the balcony, our fingers still loosely entwined from that quiet moment of unspoken gratitude. The hum of the city below felt far away, as though we were in our own little world, detached from everything but the warmth of this night, this connection between us. Jordan was quiet for a long time, his eyes fixed on the view ahead, but I could feel his gaze shifting toward me now and then. It wasn't like the usual glances he gave me at home, when he was checking to see if I was okay. This was something else, something thoughtful, almost hesitant. "You look beautiful tonight, Mom." His voice was soft but certain, and the words settled over me like a warm embrace. I turned to him, surprised, a small smile tugging at my lips. "That's sweet of you to say, honey." "I mean it," he insisted, his dark eyes holding mine. "I've always thought you were beautiful, but tonight you look different." I swallowed, suddenly aware of the way the dim lighting cast a glow over my skin, the way the silk of my dress hugged my figure. I had chosen something elegant for tonight, not for anyone in particular, just because I wanted to feel good for once. And Jordan noticed. I laughed softly, trying to brush off the warmth creeping at my neck. "Well, I did put in a little extra effort." "It shows," he murmured. Then, after a pause, "You should do that more often." "Do what?" "Dress up. Feel good about yourself." He exhaled, rubbing a hand over his jaw, as if debating whether to say what was on his mind. "I don't think he ever made you feel beautiful." He didn't say my ex-husband's name, but I knew exactly who he meant. The truth of it stung, but only because it was undeniable. My husband had spent years chipping away at my confidence with small, dismissive remarks, with indifference, with the quiet neglect of someone who had stopped seeing me a long time ago. Jordan had always seen me. I looked away, gripping the balcony railing. It wasn't about that, wasn't it? Jordan pressed gently. I saw the way he treated you, like you were just there, like he never really saw how amazing you are. I felt a lump form in my throat. You deserve better than that, he continued, his voice steady, but filled with something deeper, something protective. You deserve to feel special, Mom. Every single day. I turned to face him fully, my heart swelling at the raw sincerity in his eyes. He wasn't just saying it to make me feel better, he meant it, in a way no one else ever had. Jordan, I trailed off, not knowing what to say. He gave me a small, lopsided smile. I'm just glad you chose me. That made me pause. What do you mean? He exhaled, glancing down for a moment before looking back at me. I mean, you didn't have to adopt me. You could have chosen someone else, or not chosen anyone at all. But you picked me. And because of that, I got to have a mom. A real mom. Someone who actually loves me. Tears pricked my eyes before I could stop them. I reached out instinctively, cupping his cheek the way I used to when he was younger. Sweetheart, you were never just a choice to me. You were meant to be mine. His lips parted slightly, his eyes searching mine, like he was committing this moment to memory. I don't know what I'd do without you. You'll never have to find out, I whispered. The weight of those words settled between us, and something shifted. Something deeper than gratitude, heavier than simple affection. It was in the way he looked at me, in the way his fingers curled lightly around my wrist as I touched his face. The world outside felt distant, insignificant compared to the warmth between us. Let's go inside, I murmured after a long silence. He nodded, but he didn't let go of my hand as we stood. Back inside, the suite was bathed in a soft, golden glow from the bedside lamps. The plush carpet cushioned our steps as we walked further into the room, the sounds of the city muffled by thick glass windows. Jordan stretched, rolling his shoulders, then flopped onto the massive hotel bed with a content sigh. I could get used to this, he muttered, sinking into the pillows. I laughed, kicking off my shoes. Don't get too comfortable. We have to leave tomorrow. He groaned dramatically, making me smile as I grabbed a bottle of water from the mini fridge. When I turned back, he was watching me again, his expression unreadable. What? I asked. You just look happy. I tilted my head. Do I? He nodded. Yeah. I think it's the first time I've seen you this relaxed in a long time. I sat on the edge of the bed, the mattress dipping slightly under my weight. That's thanks to you, you know. He frowned. What do you mean? I reached out, brushing a strand of hair from his forehead like I had when he was a boy. You've been taking care of me, Jordan. Making sure I eat, making sure I smile. I don't think I would have made it through these last few months without you. You don't have to thank me for that, he said softly. I do, I insisted. Because you didn't have to. But you did. You always do. His Adam's apple bobbed as he swallowed, his eyes flickering over my face. Of course I do. You're everything to me. The words settled between us like a quiet confession. For a long time, neither of us moved. Then, slowly, he reached for my hand, his fingers tracing absent patterns against my skin. I just want you to be happy, Mom. I squeezed his hand. I am. Right now, in this moment, I really am. His lips curved into a slow, content smile. Good. We sat like that for a while, the hum of the city outside lulling us into a quiet calm. And for the first time in what felt like forever, I let myself believe that maybe, just maybe, happiness wasn't something I had lost. Maybe it was something I was finding again. With him. The warmth of Jordan's hand against mine lingered, the quiet intimacy of our conversation settling deep in my chest. I hadn't felt this light in so long, as if the weight of my broken marriage had finally loosened its grip. Jordan watched me, his dark eyes holding something thoughtful, something unspoken. Then a slow, mischievous smile tugged at his lips. Dance with me, he said suddenly. I blinked, caught off guard. Dance? Yeah, he said, sitting up and swinging his legs over the edge of the bed. I've never had a slow dance before. I let out a soft laugh. Jordan, sweetheart, you're turning 18, not 80. There's plenty of time for that. He shrugged, but there was a quiet insistence in his expression. Maybe. But I want to have my first one with you. The sincerity in his voice sent a rush of warmth through me, making my heart ache in the best way. He wasn't just saying it to be sweet, he meant it. I hesitated, glancing at the luxurious suite around us, at the soft golden glow of the bedside lamps. It wasn't exactly a ballroom, but something about the idea of dancing with him, here in this perfect moment, felt right. You're serious? I asked, tilting my head. His smile widened. Completely. I sighed dramatically.
Fine.
But if I embarrass myself, you're not allowed to laugh. I'd never, he said, pressing a hand to his heart in mock sincerity. Shaking my head, I stood from the bed and walked over to my phone, scrolling through the playlist until I found something slow, something perfect. A soft melody filled the room, something old-fashioned and timeless, the kind of song that wrapped around you like silk. Jordan stood, extending his hand toward me. May I have this dance? I let out a quiet laugh, slipping my fingers into his. You may. He pulled me close, his touch firm but careful, as if he was afraid I might slip away. His other hand rested at the small of my back, warm and steady. I placed mine on his shoulder, letting him lead as we swayed to the soft rhythm of the music. At first, we were a little awkward. He was taller than me now, and I had to tilt my head slightly to meet his eyes. But after a few beats, we found our rhythm, moving easily in the quiet space between us. I can't believe we're doing this, I murmured, my lips curving into a smile. Jordan chuckled, the sound deep and rich. Why not? I don't know. I shook my head. It's just unexpected. I like unexpected. His voice was softer now, thoughtful. Some of the best things in life happen when you're not planning them. I looked up at him, at the way his expression had shifted into something deeper, something that made my breath catch. Like what? I asked. Like you choosing me, he said without hesitation. Like us being here. Like this moment. My heart clenched at his words. I had spent so much time thinking about everything I had lost, my marriage, the future I thought I would have, but standing here, wrapped in the warmth of my son's arms, I realized something. I hadn't lost everything. I had Jordan. I had this moment, this bond, this love that was stronger than anything I had ever known. I let my forehead rest lightly against his shoulder, closing my eyes as we swayed in slow, lazy circles. His grip on me tightened, just slightly, like he was holding on to something precious. Mom? I never told you this, he murmured, but I used to be scared of getting adopted. I lifted my head, frowning.
Why?
He exhaled, his fingers brushing absently against my back as we danced. Because I didn't think anyone would actually want me. And if they did, I figured it wouldn't last. People leave. That's just how it goes. A sharp ache settled in my chest. Oh, Jordan, my voice wavered. I would never leave you. I know that now, he admitted, looking down at me. But back then, I didn't. I was afraid to trust it. But you never gave up on me. Not once. I reached up, cupping his cheek, my thumb brushing against his skin. Of course I didn't. You're my son. My heart. His eyes darkened slightly, his jaw tightening just a fraction. I don't think you realize how much that means to me. I smiled softly. I think I do. The song drifted to an end, but neither of us moved right away. We stood there, locked in a moment that felt both endless and fleeting. Finally, Jordan exhaled a quiet laugh. I think that counts as my first dance. I arched a brow. How'd I do? Perfect, he said simply. I shook my head, amused. You're such a charmer. He smirked. Only for you. Something about the way he said it made warmth bloom in my chest. I reached up, ruffling his hair. Happy birthday, sweetheart. He leaned into my touch, his eyes softening. Best one yet. I believed him, because for the first time in a long time, I wasn't just existing. I was living. And Jordan was right there beside me,